Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Shreya Jadhav and today we are going to learn about figures of speech part 2. In previous video we have learned that there are total 26 types of figures of speech, out of which we have learned 13 figure of speech. Now in today's video we are going to learn about the remaining figures of speech. 14th one, internal rhyme. Definition: use of two or more words which rhyme within one single line. It is known as internal rhyme. So now let us see one example of it. How beautiful and graceful are his shapes. Over here we have words beautiful and graceful. If you observe, these words are highlighted in red color. And at the end of the word you can see full. Now this is a sound which is being repeated. So this is a rhyme which is being formed. So this is known as internal rhyme. Second example, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. Now over here we have words like dreary and weary. So this becomes internal rhyme. Third example, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. Now over here we have words like napping and tapping. So this becomes what? Internal rhyme. Over here words are being rhymed together within one single line. Remember this. The next one, anastrophe. Definition: inversion in construction of sentence by changing the normal order for the poetic effect. Okay, and we can take into consideration like this: words might be in a jumbled form for poetic effect. Over here words would be put in that mannerism. They might have been chopped and put in a different order to have a poetic effect. Now let us go through the examples. First one, some water, coal and oil is all we ask. Now if you look over here, you will find that everything is normal. What is wrong in it? But this is not in a correct sentence order formation. The sentence should be like this: all we ask is some water, coal and ice. But at the top if you look, the sentence is being twisted. It is being cut into different pieces and then it is arranged in a poetic effect. That is considered as anastrophe. Now let us look at the second example. On a black clock sparkle the stars. Now over here the sentence formation should be like this: the stars sparkle on the black clock. Okay, so are you getting that over here the words are in jumbled format? Third one is bright he was not. Now over here the sentence should be like this: he was not bright. Now this inversion, okay, this is done only for the poetic effect, and that figure of speech is known as anastrophe. 16th one is climax. Definition: a series of ideas or words which are placed in increasing order of their importance for poetic effect. Or you can understand like this also: the words or the activity, action taking place in the sentence or in the poem line might be in ascending order from small to large, from starting to ending. So that is considered as climax. Now let us have a look at first example. Now the first example says, if you let us have his name, town and state. So over here we can know about a person's name, where he is living means the town, and which state does he belong. So over here we are getting information in chronological order, that is from ascending to descending. So this is known as climax. The second example, I came, I saw, I conquered. Over here the person is coming, the person is seeing means the person is observing something, and the person is conquering means the person is winning over the thing. So this is climax. Third figure of speech is lost, faded, broken, dead within an hour. So over here we can consider like this, that the person might be lost. The person would not be having any sort of clue. The person might be broken, and because of this effect the person is dying at the end. So this is a normal procedure which takes place in an ascending order. So this is known as climax. 17th one is anticlimax. Anticlimax is opposite of climax. So let us go through the definition of it. A series of ideas or words which are placed in decreasing order of their importance for poetic effect. Okay, over here it will be written in descending order. It would be opposite of climax. So the first example over here is the rain to mist to cloud again. So over here when you observe, this sentence has been put in decreasing order. It should be something like this: first the cloud is formed, then the mist is formed, and then it rains. But for the poetic effect, to give that drama, okay, the sentence is been put in descending order. The activity which is done is from ending to starting. This is known as anticlimax. The second example: he lost his family, his car, his cell phone. Now this activity, when you see, this is also placed in descending order. First the person is losing his phone, then the person is losing his car, and then the person is losing his family. Third example: I die, I faint, I fall. Okay, so over here this sentence represents a descending mannerism. How? First the person falls, then person faints, and then person dies. Yes. The 18th one, hyperbole. Definition: a statement is emphasized by overstatement. Something which is being said, we can say, no, in a flattery manner is known as hyperbole. First example: and his tune is heard till distinct hills. Now over here we all know that our human voice is not that much capable that far hills also our sound can reach. So this statement, as we can say, that this is oversaid, something which is not possible, but still it is written to give the poetic effect. The second example is, I could sleep for a year, I was so tired. Now it is not possible for a person to sleep for a year, but still this is overemphasized statement. The next example is, I have told you 1,000,000 times to help with the housework. Now this sentence we all might have heard from our mothers. Yes, mother have a tendency, no, I have told you thousands of times to help me, but you are least interested. Now this sentence is, we can say, a hyperbole. The next one, that is synecdoche. The definition is, a part stands for a whole or a whole stands for a part, for a poetic effect. Now please learn well. This is really important to understand. Over here, human body or any non-living object's parts are taken into consideration. There might be some human body part involved in the lines, or there might be some non-living things, or their parts will be included over here. So let us have a look through the examples. The first one, their hands are ours, and in their lines we read. Now see, in red color, hands is being written. Yes, hands represents human body part. Okay, so whenever you find a human body part being included in poem lines, this is considered as synecdoche. Second example is, beautiful are the feet that bring the good news. When I read this sentence, I feel really very Jolly. Yes, what is the reason behind it? This sentence is taken from the Bible saying. Yes, and over here you can see that beautiful are the feet. Over here, feet has been written in red color. Feet indicates human body part. So this is synecdoche. The next one. Those wheels are awesome. Now over here, wheels means non-living thing. Now over here we are not talking about the wheels, but we are talking about the whole car. Okay, so a part means a wheel, and it is standing for whom? For the car. So a part is standing for whole, representing the whole car. Next one, metonymy. Definition: an attribute or thing is represented by another closely related to the thing. Things are compared in a mannerism. Yes? The example is the few steps of his cage. Now over here, few steps represents what? That there is a small space in the cage. The cage is not that big. Now directly it is never said to us. It is said in a different order or mannerism. Yes, it is conveyed to us in another way. The second example is, and show the children to the green field. Now over here, green field means unpolluted nature, something related to mother nature. Okay, so over here, instead of directly telling mother nature or unpolluted nature, the writer have written over here green fields. Next example is, lend me your ear. Now ear we cannot lend to anyone. Yes, but what is the intention of saying this sentence? That the person is supposed to pay attention to whatever is being said to them. Next one, transferred epithet. Definition. But understand the word first. Epithet means adjective. Now we'll go to the definition. So the adjective is transformed or transferred from its original noun to another closely related to. The first example, the tall girl with her weighed down head. So over here you can see two colors, red and green. The color in green means the head is noun. Okay, and the epithet, the adjective which is adding something to the head, that is weighed down, that becomes adjective. Second example, it is the human earth that we defile. So over here, noun is earth and human represents adjective. The next one, I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. Over here, noun is feet and adjective is hushed, which is letting us know something more about feet. Okay, so adjective means which we can come to know more about a noun. The next one is irony. Meaning, the real meaning is exactly opposite to the meaning which is conveyed. Now we are supposed to think like this, whatever is written over here is totally opposite. Okay, so the example, the first one, on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Now over here, this is a very famous poetry which has been taken. Yes, over here it has been said that there was a king called Ozymandias, and he was so much prideful. Yes, and he would always boast about himself. Yes, so over here it has been said that Ozymandias told that he is kings of king, but this is actually not possible. So this is irony. The next one is, a pilot has a fear of heights. Now eventually this is also not possible. Yes, now for example, if you are a pilot, yes, then you should not have that phobia or fear of heights. Pilot spends most of the time at work which is high in air. Then how can they fear of heights? The next one is the cobbler's children have no shoes. Now, over here, this is an interesting one to be said. Yes, a cobbler is a professional shoemaker. So, there is an expectation that at least his children would have shoes. So, this is totally opposite what is written over here. The next one is epigram. Definition: a brief pointed saying which is said or which is introduced with an aim to excite, surprise, and attract attention. Now, sometimes some people say little things, but still they grab the attention of all the people surrounded by them. So, epigram is related to it. Example: our touch can alter all created things. Now, this is not possible for human beings to do. Okay, so when we read it, it surprises us. Now, as a human being, we cannot alter or we cannot change all the things according to our situation. It is only been done by the God. So this example is of epigram. The next one: if we don't end the war, war will end us. Here the sentence also grabs our attention, or we can say this is a wise words being told. Yes, that if the war will not end, the human beings will come to an end. The next one: I am starting with the men in the mirror. This sentence surprises us and also attracts our attention, as we are supposed to start the change from the person in the mirror, who is us. Over here, if we want to change something, we are not supposed to change the world. First, that change is supposed to start from within. We as a human being are supposed to change. So this sentence also surprises and grabs our attention. So that brief pointed saying which excites or surprises us is known as epigram. 24th, which is oxymoron. This is a special form of antithesis where two contradictory things, means opposite things, are used together to give an expression. To create a poetic effect, these sort of words are used. First example: and climbing moon grows small. Now over here we have one pair of synonym and one pair of antonym or opposite. Now when we look, climbing and grows, I'm not saying that those two are synonym, but still it means the same. Grows and small, this means opposite, and climbing and small also means opposite. So over here it is a special sort of opposite words which are being used together. The next one: or if sometimes when roaming around, a noble wild beast greets you. Now here noble and wild are two opposite things. Yes, it is not possible that the person who is noble is wild. Yes, it is totally not taken into consideration. But still, if these two words are used together and it gives us an expression, it tells us about something. Yes, over here it tells us about an animal. Next one is all the politicians agreed to disagree. Now over here this is a special sort of words. Yes, agreed, that everyone agreed to what? To disagree the thing. Now over here it is not possible that once we have agreed we would refuse. Yes, so this is a special kind of antithesis, oxymoron. The next one is paradox, meaning a self-contradictory sentence which has some hidden truth behind it. Okay, the words which are written might be really very good to read, but if you read it more consciously, you will come to know that there is something or there is some other meaning behind it. First example, a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. Now over here, cage becomes the grave for bird, because now as the bird is inside the cage, the bird cannot fly. Now what is the dream of the bird? Birds always dream to fly. Now that thing will never happen. So he is standing on his grave. The second one is, truth is honey which is bitter. No, truth is good when we are supposed to say, but it is difficult to listen when we are at fault. Okay, now if for example, if some person have done something wrong, automatically it would be easy for us to judge them that okay, you are no wrong over here. But if some other person tells us that we are wrong, it becomes very difficult for us to digest. So this is paradox. It has a hidden meaning in it. Next example, I must be cruel to be kind. Okay, so this is taken from Shakespeare's one of his play from Hamlet. Okay, so this is not possible that the person who is cruel cannot behave kindly. Yes, now the person who is already bad cannot become good. Yes, so there is a hidden meaning behind it. The last figure of speech that is pun. Definition, use of word which is capable of having more than one meaning, and it is created with humorous effect. Okay, over here it might be having one or two meaning, and moreover to that, when we read, it creates a laughter or a humor sort of thing. First example over here is, the tallest building in the town is the library. It has thousands of stories. Now over here, stories means the stories in the books, because in library you can find so many books with so many numbers of stories. And stories over here means incidences also which took place in the library or in the building. The second one, you were right, so I left. The person didn't like that he was wrong, so he left. That is the one possibility which we can take into consideration. And the other possibility is that the person was correct and the another person didn't had any sort of option left, so he left from there. The next one, you are man of weight and consequences. This creates a great humor over here eventually. Here the man is weighed according to weight. Okay, whatever our weight would be. Okay, so we are men of weight. And the next one is that the man is responsible for whatever he does. Okay, so he is responsible also for his consequences. So this is all about your 26 types of figures of speech. If you find any difficulty, any doubt, if you are having any sort of query, if you didn't understand anything, you are free to ask anytime. Yes, so if you are having any queries, you can comment down in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.